Welcome back, everybody, to another Chase Stories chat. Today, I am joined by my friend Marcos Amaral. Marcos, thank you for joining me today,
Hey.
all the way from EPA, my hometown, where I'm not there right now, on the East Coast. But Marcos is holding it down for me over there.
Rogue Runners.
Rogue
We're in the
Runners. Oh,
streets.
we're going to be talking all about the Rogue Runners in a sec. As it is tradition here, Marcos, we always start off with the cheers. So I told you beforehand, bring your beverage of choice. What you got
Coffee.
there?
Some
Some
coffee.
coffee. I like it. All right, let me crack this one open. We're 3 hours ahead, so it's acceptable for me to start drinking.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Salute.
Thank you for joining me. So
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to chat with you today. Marcos and I know each other, I think originally through soccer and through our family soccer team, Aposol. Shout out to them.
Woo!
So that's originally how we met. Him and his brother Benny played on the team, and so we were all on the same team, became family friends. He's been hanging out with us, and then from there we've kind of started our own relationship, hanging out, talking about ideas in terms of businesses and what we want to do with our lives and that sort of stuff, which has been really cool to kind of get to know you on a more personal level, and to go over to your house and play darts all the time now.
Always welcome, man.
Not to mention,
good times keep rolling.
For reals. I will say though, I will preface it with I am scared of Marcos's dog Gaucho. He bit me once, but we're cool now. We had some beef, but we sorted it out.
Yeah, he's very protective, but he's the biggest sweetheart once you get to break him down.
Yeah. Marcos, could you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Your background, where you're from, as well as what you do now.
Yeah. Born and raised in East Palo Alto, first generation American. I'm the youngest of three men in our house. Parents migrated up north, from Jalisco, Mexico, for a better future, and think we're just trying to continue their legacy and build on that, just like any Hispanic parents would for their kids.
Yeah, man. Tell me a little bit about growing up in East Palo Alto. Like, I grew up for a decent amount in EPA, but I was kind of moving back and forth between like Sunnyvale and Mountain View. My family kind of moved a lot growing up. But like obviously we always came back to EPA because that's where all the family is.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper.
It's cheaper. I mean, now it's insane how expensive it is over there.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about, maybe sort of growing up in East Palo Alto and then how it's changed over the years? Because there's a huge difference from when we were younger to how it is now.
Absolutely. I mean, growing up in EPA, I really can't attest too much to it because my parents always put me in sports, whether it was for our club soccer. I played for Palo Alto growing up. We were really never at home, and that never gave us a chance to hang out on the streets or make friends with our local neighbors.
Yeah.
Apart from that, sorry, the airplane's going right over. Apart from that, we also joined an after-school program called EPAT, which stands for East Palo Alto Tennis and Tutoring.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a local nonprofit that helps kids in East Palo Alto get one-on-one tutoring from Stanford students and then use tennis as a sport that they chose.
Yeah.
So growing up in EPA, I was a part of the Tinsley program, and I never really experienced the school system here. I always heard about it and how poor it was, mismanaged, and that's kind of still true to this day.
Yeah.
So growing up in EPA, you just had a stigma, it's the hood, it's the ghetto, it's the very, very bad neighborhood that you don't want to be associated with.
Yeah.
That's really all I can attest for, because other than that, I grew up on Menlo Park, Palo Alto, Stanford soils.
Yeah. Did because I have a similar experience as you, where I lived in East Palo Alto, but didn't really go to schools in East Palo Alto, and I didn't have that experience either.
Mhm.
Did you feel like you had to sort of act a certain way when you were outside, like in these, like you said, you did the Tinsley program, which you're in a different school, and you played soccer in these, like in Palo Alto, in terms of like your club team. Did you have to feel like you had to act a certain way there, and then when you're home, around people from East Palo Alto, you acted a different way, like you were kind of playing two parts?
Not really, because again, when we weren't playing soccer or we weren't at EPAT, we were either sleeping or in bed or going to school. We were just always pretty busy.
Yeah.
So always being so occupied with soccer, EPAT, and school, you just picked up the different mannerisms, proper manners. And so it was really until mid-high school, around sophomore, junior years, that I really became more associated with people from East Palo Alto, East Menlo Park.
Yes.
And realized, wow, their manners are completely off. I mean, hardworking people, smart people, street smart, common sense, all there. Just the way they converse with adults or superiors was not how I was used to it. So that's really, that came late for me. I picked up on that late, or I was able to pick up on that late, just on making new friends. With people from EPA.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, need to do something real quick because it seems like someone opened up the door back here. I'm with family in the background, so let me close that door real quick.
No worries.
Get out. Thank you. And bye-bye. Get them out real quick.
The Rugrats.
Your boy was about to bring out the chancla. That was one of my little brothers, and he enjoys playing jokes. And
hey, remember, this is being recorded, and that's child abuse.
No, it's not your brother. It's not my child.
Believe me, so a Karen will be out there and find you and lock you up. Karens are out there.
They are everywhere. That's for sure. Marcelino exposed gets the chunk on his little brother. So let's talk about how much it's changed over the years, East Palo Alto, from having that sort of negative stigma, it's the hood, it's dangerous over there, gang violence, to now. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. I think it's just like the area that we live in, Silicon Valley. Everything's changing, everything's kind of growing. Everyone wants to be here in the mecca of technology.
Yeah.
Shall I say the valley of opportunity and technology. East Palo Alto was really the last place to be seen as valuable territory or property.
Yeah.
And I think that when Facebook came in, and then Amazon soon after, it's when it really spiked, and you could see the crime really completely vanish. I mean, it was, you used to hear gunshots. I remember hearing gunshots growing up. And it's like, oh, it's just a gunshot. Like, gunshots were just whatever.
Yeah.
And now, I remember a couple of years ago, there wasn't a single murder. It was like almost, East Palo Alto went about a year and a half to 2 without a murder, a homicide. And that's just, being gentrified out by Facebook employees, Google, Apple, Stanford University, Amazon right down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a good thing? I don't know. It's,
yeah.
I mean, obviously no one likes crime, but when you grew up in such a nice neighborhood, or not, I wasn't into all that street stuff. I would say it's sad that you see these single family homes being occupied by like 5 families, cars everywhere, people don't know where to do with the trash. It's a mess. I mean, that's the only downside of East Palo Alto being gentrified out, is that you have 4 to 6 families living in these single family homes, basically living on top of each other while rents are going up, and majority Hispanics, immigrants, blacks, Polynesians who are making them just above minimum wage.
Yep.
Can barely hang on.
Yeah, man. I totally, yeah, I share sort of the sentiment in terms of like, I'm not exactly sure how to feel about everything that's going on. Like I see the pros and the cons too, and a lot of what you said. At one point, East Palo Alto was the murder capital of the world.
It was 87.
Yeah, I think it was like 87, 88, one of those,
Yep.
or like right before the 90s. And now it's yeah, like you said, with Facebook and Amazon, a lot has changed. I remember, I think it was like a year or two back, I was driving and with one of my cousins, and I think it was Edward or Noé. I was like, something seemed off, as I saw somebody walking down the street, and I saw a white person walking their dog, and I'm like, that's something totally new and foreign, because you didn't. I mean, there's white people in East Palo Alto for the most part, like very, very, very tiny population of Caucasians, white people that were living in East Palo Alto, and then I see some, and especially not walking their dogs. Like that wasn't like, you don't really see people going around walking their dogs leisurely, walking through the hood, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely changed, and yeah, it's hard to see. It's all over the Bay Area though. Just the rent prices, everything's just gone up an insane amount. It makes it hard for me, who loves the Bay Area and would love to continue living there. It makes it hard for me to see a future living in that area.
Yeah, I mean, as a young adult, I think it's hard to see what the future has in stock for us, because, I mean, if you ask yourself or you ask me, or you ask any of your family relatives or your close friends that grew up in EPA, the answer is, or the question is, do you want to live in EPA or you want to continue living here? The majority of them say yes, because this area has everything. I mean,
yeah,
you're about a mile away from one of the most prestigious universities globally.
yep.
Google's not too far away. You have suburbia in Palo Alto and Menlo Park. You have just a little bit of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a nice balance. But I mean, that balance is starting to swing more towards the wealth and the money, because I mean, there isn't a place for hardworking people anymore, or honest people that just come here to make a better future for themselves, because the rent, the housing prices, unsustainable.
Yeah, I was gonna. The word that came to mind was like blue collar jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not working tech, it's pretty hard to find something.
Yeah.
Because of the prices.
But a fun fact that I did find out recently through my brother is that East Palo Alto, for being a community of known as the hood or the poor, it's a very well resourced community. I mean, there's communities. I mean, there's projects all within the 2.3 square footage mile of EPA that has like all these after school programs, nonprofits, food banks, an abundance of new ideas coming to life.
Yeah.
So East Palo Alto is really well resourced. Just not, I don't think it's getting out to the public as it should be, which is sad.
Yes. And we've talked about, I mean, you and I have talked a little bit about the Ravenswood School District and everything that's gone on with that, and how it's gone kind of belly up in terms of finances.
Yep.
And it's hard to
crazy.
See. Yeah. And we can go into that later, or, you all can do your own research on it too. But yeah, I mean, even though it's had such a bad rap, East Palo Alto, for the longest time, we've still got lots of love for it just because, it's where we grew up, so many great memories. And you are doing that as well. You're repping it hard, wherever you
Trying to.
go. Let's talk a little bit about what you do in terms of, those side projects and, your running as well. Let's talk about that too, since that's something that's super important to you.
Yeah. So it wasn't, until a couple of years ago that I was in my second year at community college, Foothill, and I didn't feel like playing soccer anymore. And, just like anyone in their early 20s or late teens, you start to realize that, okay, mom and dad's supply of money isn't always going to be there. So you find a job, and I said I don't want to just work at a local coffee shop. I want to find a career, even though I don't know what it is that I have a passion for. So I kind of leave my school behind and work at Stanford University, and then also realize that I miss being social. I like being, I'm a social guy. I like to kind of go out and drink or party and whatnot. And then it was after that where I was like, okay, my gut's starting to grow. And I have all this kind of money, but no real purpose in life yet. So
Yeah.
then I looked towards my brother, who recently signed up for a marathon, completed it, saw the thrills, the ecstasy that he got from finishing his first marathon. I said, I'm going to sign up for a marathon too. Like 26 miles, to run 26.2 miles is, you have to be crazy at first to even think that's even attainable or achievable.
Not even at first. You have to be just crazy to do it in general. I like that.
Yeah. So then as soon as my brother finished his first one, he did another one I think a couple months later, and set off close to 20 something minutes.
Wow.
And then that time I was like, okay, I'm still going to sign up. And I kept training. I kept hitting the road bumps. I kept, going through these cycles that I was motivated and I was unmotivated. And then it was a couple months later, my brother was like, if you sign up for a marathon, if you put pen to paper and you sacrifice the money, you're going to train harder than you ever thought you would, because you're just training to feel you're ready, and then you're going to find a marathon 4 months later, whatnot. That doesn't work. So I signed up, I got into running, trained for a marathon. My older brother dropped out. I ran with my middle brother. We did a 7-minute average over 26 miles. And then that's where the itch just went boom.
To running. Man.
Yeah.
That's how it all started.
It did, because I got a following. Just, in soccer, every club or team uses a badge, an identity, their patch. And I wanted something for myself. So I reached out to one of my brother's co-workers who does artwork. She made my patch. She's like, what do you want? I was like, I love EPA. I'm from EPA. Use the EPA seal and put a runner in it. And that's what it is. And at the time I had a mullet. So in Gen 1 patch, there's a guy with the mullet with a nice background. And that's how Rogue Runners was started, because I got a following from it. People were kind of stoked to see someone from East Palo to pick up running and be so good at it, or just above average maybe.
I do have one of the first gen shirts. I didn't bring it with me, and if I did, I would have been wearing it right now. I have it at home. It's super cool, and you should have been wearing your shirt right now. Why did I not tell you to do that?
I should have, but we're rebranding. So, and all my shirts are dirty because I actually exercise in them. So
he doesn't just have them for show; he actually uses them.
You're lucky you can't smell me through this camera.
Thankfully. Thankfully. Oh man, yeah. So why the name? So Rogue Runners is essentially what you've called, or actually no, I don't. I'm not even going to say what is Rogue Runners. You mentioned it just now. That's how Rogue Runners was born. But what is Rogue Runners? What is your intention for it? You and I have talked about it, but let's hear it.
Rogue Runner. So Rogue, it, being from East Palo, a lot of people in EPA use the word rogue as a sign of like a greeting. What's up, rogue? It's like saying bro. Hey, bro. How you doing, dude? Stuff like that. In the streets of EPA, it's what's up, rogue. Uh, and I don't, the word rogue has a really negative meaning. You can look it up on your own. I'm not dictionary.com. I'm not going to.
Let me bring up Webster's. I'll bring up Webster's as you're talking.
And so my older brother and I, Adrian, said we constantly hear that word, while we're running, and people are like, "Keep it up, Rogue! Hey, Rogue!" And we flash a little socket to them, or a little EPA for them, and that's how it really was born. It was because we were fueled on our runs by the community, and they would call us Rogue, and it was like, okay, it's gonna be Rogue running from now on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically how Rogue Runners initiated.
Yeah. And I found the definition of rogue. If you look it up, it is a dishonest or unprincipled man. You are a rogue and an embezzler is the example that they gave. Also, the other one is an elephant or other large wild animal, driven away or living apart from a herd. So, you all can kind of decide what you think these rogue runners is. It could just be a bunch of wild elephants running away.
Thank you. I like that one. That's going to be our new slogan.
Yeah.
Our new little quote.
I was going to say, for your rebranding, you could just put an elephant on the seal.
Hey, an elephant is a sign of many things.
Yeah, it's a rogue.
Yeah, it's a rogue.
So that's how it started. And, I think it's super cool. Like you said, like you and your brother have mentioned it, and I've joined you all, not in running, but I've biked while you all have ran, because I'm still not there yet. I'm not at that point. And it's cool to see, you all kind of have a little following around East Palo Alto, or, you have people that are waving to you and they kind of recognize you because you're the guys that run around EPA. And most people aren't doing that. So it's really cool to see how it's growing, and your idea for it. What are your sort of, your rebranding, you have some really cool ideas for it long term.
Yeah.
Go into that.
Yeah. So I think we're going to start as a local running club.
Yeah.
Local running community, kind of just hopefully start picking up some speed with a backing of either kids, their parents, just adults, just people that live in EPA that want to run and want to be healthy. And just like anything, I always like to ask the question, what do you feel when running? Yeah, if you're picking up running for the first time, you may say, this is the worst thing ever. My legs are hurting. The burn is, I just can't do this anymore. Then yeah, I want to change that mindset to, do you feel the runner's high? Do you feel like you could change the world after you surpass your limit? Can you keep growing, just like anything?
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I was approached by someone from the our local Ravenswood school district, to see if I would like to incorporate this into their curriculum at Ravenswood Middle School. And that's something long term, but for now, it's just using running as a platform to empower our community.
Yeah, man, and that's super cool. And I really love the idea. And you always you always tell me, like obviously there are popular sports like in the community, like football, basketball, soccer, especially in East Palo Alto. I feel are some of the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that you told me like anybody can pick up running. You don't need any
It's
equipment.
free.
It's free.
It's free.
I mean, some
Just
nice running shoes helps, and you probably
not
want
even
to.
that. Not even that. Honestly, not even that. One of my favorite movies of all time. Not only because I think it's Disney, but it's a great movie. You guys should look into it. It's called McFarlane.
Yeah,
It's the same kind of principle. I mean, it's these kids are working in Central Valley in California, playing football. It's in an impoverished neighborhood, just like EPA, maybe even worse.
yeah,
Uh, there's a coach or a person that sees a potential in why you guys playing the wrong sport or why are you guys doing this sport, and completely changes not only the runners' minds but the community's minds to it.
yeah, man. That's cool. Who knows? I mean, I think for me, I think it's a super cool idea, and once I've been working on the running and building strength in my leg again.
Mm-hmm.
I my Achilles, and I kind of slacked off, but I'm getting better at it. I've been working out a lot the last couple weeks,
Hey,
especially.
I mean, that's just like what you're going through with your Achilles rehab. That's
Mhm.
kind of how I tackle my training and my running, and what I want road runners to kind of instill into its future runners is that kind of finding a goal, and what is it that you want to do? Do you want to just stay healthy? Do you want to race? Do you want to compete? There's so many avenues that running can open up for you,
Yeah,
whether it's academics, career, or just finding ways how to tackle new life problems.
yeah. I was gonna ask you, how do you feel that running has, I mean, helped you not only physically, but in terms of how you, like, you kind of touched on it, like how you view things. Has it helped you, mentally as well? What have been some of the benefits you've seen from running in your life?
Uh, Benefits of running, it's allowed me to have a growth mindset opposed to a fixed one.
Yeah,
In a fixed mindset, if someone tells you, hey, you can't run a 6:10 minute mile pace average for 26 miles, because that's fixed in their opinions and that's fixed in you now, you're never going to try to train for that. Opposed to having a growth mindset, you're going to do whatever it is you have to do, whether it's sacrifice, look into your regimen, really see what you have to do to achieve that goal,
yeah,
and then get towards it. Work towards it. But like a phrase that I like is keep your head up, keep your heart strong. Um, I don't know how that resembles with this. Sorry, but
I like it. It's a good one.
running, it just makes you. It just broadens up so many things for you. So, but going back, sorry, I got a little off topic. I want to. Can you ask the question again? Sorry.
Well, I was just asking how running has affected you in your life in terms of, either like personally it's helped you, you've kind of touched on it, or, mentally. I mean, besides the physical stuff, how has it helped you?
Yeah, just it's allowed me to have a growth mindset.
Hmm.
It allows me to not even when running, I feel like if I can set a training for my runs,
Yeah,
if I move that over to my life, it kind of it allows me, it has taught me that I can make an agenda for my life and my
yeah,
plans, future plans, and that's important to me because that's something I want to pass on to other people. Is that if you're training for a 5K or a 10K or a half marathon, and you want to reach X amount of time, you're going to need to do X amount of steps.
yeah,
Now, if you move that over to your life, if you want to have a house by 25 and you want to be married by a certain age, you're going to need to do certain things. You can't just say, well, I'm at 25, I'm ready to get married. Who's the first person that wants to get married? Like, no. If you want to have a successful,
you,
yeah,
any takers?
we'll play spin the bottle or something. But no, it's allowed me to articulate a plan and kind of move forward with it and have structure. There's the word, is structure.
Yeah, totally. I think
Provide
that's,
structure to me.
yeah, and it's, I, for me, I know, and I've been trying to, build up better habits, but having a structure to your day and building up those good habits help you a lot in the long run.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see that, with exercising or running, how that really, builds you up and makes you a better person in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
So give me the lowdown on training for a marathon, because you kind of talked about how you've got the ups and downs of training. And I know, you're currently in the middle of training.
Not anymore. I don't
No,
think so
not
anymore.
anymore, because of, thanks COVID. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, they just shut down New York yesterday.
Yeah,
I'm anticipating they're going to shut down Chicago,
yeah,
and that's in October.
yeah. Well, I saw you at the Sacramento Marathon, which is super cool to see you cross the finish line and do that. Let's talk a little bit about what goes into training for a marathon, because you talked about the feeling unmotivated and the hard stuff. I know you've had some injuries too, like dealing with some getting a little beat up during those.
Yeah,
So let's talk about that and how you've, even through that tough stuff, how you've gotten through it.
it's just in my opinion, those are two very different things. It's almost two different complete answers because when you're training without a purpose, or you're training in a marathon and you get injured, or you're just training in general to be better, it's kind of hard to put those things together. But
Mm-hmm.
what I put into a training plan, for example, I've only run 2 marathons. My first marathon, I trained for about 3 months. Fortunately, I've always kind of kept my shape as far as my cardiovascular, my endurance system, my VO2 max. So when I trained for my first marathon, I had no structure. I just knew that I had to work on a couple long runs to build strength, going surpassing like the 15-mile mark. And then my second marathon training regimen, I really focused on speed, and I focused on long runs, and I focused on sustaining a low heart rate. But even then, I think you're asking the wrong person, because in either of my races, I've never felt satisfied. I've always felt like there could have been more, whether it's personal reasons, whether it's reasons that will never make sense to the general public. My first, both marathons, I was fortunate, I think, because I'm that selfless person or individual. I like to say is my first marathon, I ran it with my brother. He didn't train for more than a month and a half, and he was still able to knock out a 3-hour marathon, which is about a 7-minute mile average, which is kudos to him. But I busted my chops for 3 months
Yeah,
and felt like I could have gone under 3. And for those who don't know, going under 3 your first marathon, or in general, means you qualify for the most prestigious marathon, which is the Boston Marathon. Not only because it's the oldest running marathon, but it's after the bombings back in 2013. Everyone uses that marathon as a symbol of like patriotism in the U.S., or just it's just like the mecca of marathons.
yeah,
I missed that by 3 minutes. So I was kind of bummed, and I realized that I had to wait a whole another year to kind of qualify for Boston. And then my second marathon at the California International Marathon in Sacramento, I ran it with my older brother. He was coming off a big PR of 2:45, so he shut off 6 minutes off his personal best. And my goal going into that race was just going under 3. Going 3, qualifying for Boston would have been great. My training did not match that, because I was outputting way more. I was running about 60 miles a week, 58, 55 average, which is normal for a sub-3 attempt. And when I crossed the finish line, I felt like I just could have given it more. I mean, I crossed the line at 2:41, which is a 6:10 minute average, which is something I to this day really proud of.
Yeah.
But as soon as I crossed the finish line, I was like, "Is that it? That can't be it because there's still so much more in the gas tank." And there was a good friend of mine. She owns a Zombie Runner in Palo Alto. Greatest coffee out there, by the way, in the Bay Area, to me. She said, if there's still gas in your tank after a marathon or after a race, you left a lot out there. And that's never a good feeling. And I was like, well, I guess there's a lot more for me to do in the sport of running. Um, and that's what I'm kind of looking forward to because, just like the greatest marathoner, Eliud Kipchoge, said, no human is limited. And I don't think I've kind of scratched my limit of what I can do with running.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if that answers your question a little bit.
It does. It does. What is your, do you have like a goal that you're setting for yourself? Let's say next run, once, we figure out, once things kind of settle down and you figure out the next run that you're doing, next marathon, what would be your goal for that marathon?
I told myself it's a competitive sport, I think, especially in the world of social media. So there's a couple followers that I follow, and they're in the mid 235s or mid 230s. So that equates to about shaving about 10 seconds to 15 seconds off my marathon time to kind of be in the ballpark with them. But I feel like that isn't enough. I would like to run a low 230, high 220 marathon. So that's about, I'm looking to run around a 5:30 or 5:45 average pace.
Your boy's ambitious.
I feel like I got it in me. I feel like, I think one of my biggest motivators is my father. He said, don't look to Kipchoge as the role model, look to him as a competitor. So instead of thinking that you want to be like him, why not train and race against him one day, or train and race against the elite, because you have it all in your arsenal to be that. It's just discipline and motivation that you just need to really lock into. And after that, I was like, yeah, you're right. I mean, I know if I train hard enough, if I sacrifice enough, and if I really dial in, I can achieve to qualify for the Olympics. There's those Olympic standard times that one has to reach, or just to be in contention for.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll run the Olympics, but it would be cool to run it in an Olympic marathon qualifier.
Hey, man, let's make it happen. I will be biking by your side to help you train. I won't be running with you, but I'll bike right next to you if you want.
As long as you can bike 12 miles an hour, we're good.
Oh, that might be tough. On a tricycle.
Seems easy, but it's not.
It's not. I remember one time Marcos was like, "Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna go on a casual jog near my house." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll join you if you let me borrow your bike." He's like, "Yeah, for sure." I could hardly keep up with him on the bike. I had a harder time. It was so tough. My leg was super tired. I also wasn't keeping up with my, with exercising during that time either. So that was brutal. But
I'm out of breath. Relax.
like a fish out of water. That's awesome, man. I mean, I think it's super important to have goals like that. You have your the small stepping stone goals, and then you also have your long term goals, and it's good to have both. So
all this kind of Sorry to cut you off, but I mean, all this kind of just intertwines with running and how you can use running in your personal life, or motivate, or kind of build structure in your personal life. Because just like anything, you need building blocks. You need to find objectives or goals or sub goals to kind of say, to get here, I need to go through these steps, and that's just like running. Everyone thinks because I run every day. I'm not running when I run every day, I'm not running to kill myself every day. I'm running to build strength long term, to build endurance in my muscles. That's something that is built over time and not a short period of time.
Yeah, totally.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yada.
Let's talk about. You always use these hashtags that I love, or you also have it on. I know Adrian has it. Your older brother has it on his shirt when he runs. No dolor, no sabor. Uh,
The direct translation doesn't make sense. It's no taste, no reward. And Adrian learned it in Spain. I don't know where my brother picks up half of the crazy ideas, but it's supposed to be no pain, no gain.
yeah,
No dolor, no sabor, because without pain, you're not going to taste the glory. And it was kind of neat when we were running in Sacramento in Sim. People would kind of read at the back of our shirts, our singlets, and say, "Hey, what does that mean?" And we kind of tell them, "No pain, no gain." You're not gonna. If there's no pain, you're not gonna get to your reward, which is crossing that finish line.
mm-hmm.
So there's one of them. My other favorite hashtag is marathoners like trap music.
They love trap music.
Yara. Trap music. I kind of stole that copyrighted infringement, sure, a little bit from 2 Chainz' album a couple years ago. I think his album was called "Pretty Girls Like Trap Music," and I was like, "Marathoners like trap music," because I follow a lot of runners, and they're always bumping like the new Migos, the new ASAP Ferg, or like the dirtiest of hip hop rap, and I'm like, dude, this is fueling. Like, of course. So that's kind of where the marathoners like trap music was born.
That's where it's
Hashtag.
all from.
Yep.
Let's go through sort of I've never run a marathon. I don't know how many people watching or listening have run a marathon. What are some of the feelings you get through a marathon? Because it being 26.2 miles, there's probably a lot of things that go through your head. There's probably a lot of feelings you're feeling throughout. It's more like an emotional and physical roller coaster is how I would like to think of it.
Yeah.
Tell me, at least for you, the sorts of feelings and things that go through your mind and your body as you're running through it.
Oh, man. First off, you get runner's high. When you get runner's high, you kind of feel like you can do anything.
What was that?
And then 1,000. Welcome to the hood. See?
Oh,
why go to Disneyland when you can just sit on your front lawn and casually feel like you're in Iraq or like Iraq or something?
Dude, they've been going off the last couple of weeks. Like every night, there's somebody else doing fireworks or something. But
yeah,
keep going.
Runner's high is the best thing to describe a little bit of what you'll experience in a marathon. Is you kind of get this sensation of euphoria that you can kind of do anything that you put your mind to.
Mm-hmm.
I've personally never have dabbled with marijuana or that stuff, so I don't know what it means to be high, but runner's high is it's just euphoria. You feel like you're on top of the world. You can do anything that you set your mind to, and it's just all these positive, good vibes. And then, once the kind of pain kicks in and the struggle, then there's some kind of doubt that creeps in. It's like, wow, can I just stop? Should I stop? My muscle hurts. Fear will kind of creep in, and whatever it is that you're kind of feeling in your mind mentally will start to take over. But it's learning how to control your mind and know that it's temporary, that it's it's going to pass, that you have to learn how to rule your mind, or else your mind will rule you, is how I like to think about it. You have to dominate yourself. And so, the emotions in a marathon, they're endless. I mean, talk about my best friend.
Gaucho. That's the dog that bit me.
He's a vicious little one.
He is.
He's a sweetheart. Anyways, okay, go. Okay. There's still there's I feel like I could almost write a book on the emotions yet one will experience through a marathon.
Maybe you should.
Maybe one day. But for the most part, it's just about hitting the highs and lows. And
Yeah.
just like life, and that's why I love running now. It's there's good times that will roll, and then there's bad times, and it's teaching yourself or learning how to get out of those dark times, whether it's with help. And in running, what I use as help is I look at the people next to me. For example, it would have been my brothers. It's the group of people that you kind of see that you set your pace with around. Running a race, you start to become familiar with who's around you and who's not. After mile 10, you really start to adjust, or you start to see like, okay, this is the kind of group I'm going to be running the marathon with. And you got to just think about it like they're struggling just as much as you are. They're running the same race, they're running the same pace. They got to be hurting too, or else they'd either be behind you or they'd be far out in front of you. So it's kind of just using the people, your surroundings, and applying that you're going to look to them to help, to keep you in it mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
And then go back to that high. But yeah, emotions in the marathon, endless. I mean, it's just like a little heartbeat.
It definitely does seem like, there's definitely the physical aspect of it, which, you have to train a lot for it, but there's definitely the mental training as well to be able to deal with those highs and lows. And it's definitely a great sort of analogy for life. I think analogy is the right word to use for it, or metaphor.
Yeah. Like a quote, I don't know who, I love quotes, especially in running, but I think one of the quotes that can attest to this is become comfortable being uncomfortable is one that I find really important, because in a marathon, you're going to be uncomfortable. I mean, I've never found anyone to run a marathon to be like, yeah, I'm cruisingly casually in a race.
Yeah.
Going to never feel any discomfort, or you're going to be plateaued throughout the entire race. Like, no, that's not what a race is about, at least in a marathon. Like, if that's how it is, then you probably end up like me, because in both of my marathon races, I feel like I've left too much out there. And that's not a good feeling. But I struggled through them, but it's the end that I still have not found that last bit of will to collapse, to really feel like, did I hit my limit? Did I surpass my limit?
Yeah, that you literally gave everything in the tank. Put it all out there.
Yeah.
Totally, man. Well, I know, hopefully, once that next one comes, you'll be able to do it. And then we can talk about it. And then, maybe you'll give up marathon running because you hate it.
No, I've actually.
No, I'm joking.
I told my dad that if Chicago is canceled, I'm going to go to Mexico early before Oscar's wedding. Our family friend, ladies and gentlemen, listening in. I'm going to run from our hometown in Mexico to another town, which is called Talpa, which is it's a sacred place. It's about 70 miles away. I'm either going to road bike up about more than 50% of the way, which is about 50 miles away, bike 50 miles, and then run 26 miles uphill to the new town, to the other town. So I'm setting my sporting goals pretty high still, whether there's a competition or not.
Yeah, and that's good. And I mean, you're gonna hop on the training pretty soon too, I'm sure.
I'm still training, yeah, but I'm gonna start training more.
Training.
Ladies and gentlemen, I drink a lot of beer and I
Yes,
eat a lot of sweets.
as do I.
No gut, no glory.
Yeah, that's another thing that's going to go on your shirts, right? On the next batch, no gut, no glory.
No gut, no glory.
Well, Marcos, I'm sure, I'm looking forward to hopefully going and seeing you at your next race. It was super fun to be able to experience that with you and your fam.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like for, the people listening and watching to get out of our talk today? If there's like a message or, something that you touched on that you really want to, people to take out from this.
I, you know, I just want to. I'm not sure if it's a message right away, but I would like to bring running or have running be more part of our community because to run you have to be resilient, and I think that's what East Palo Alto is for the most part. It's a very resilient community. It's gone through the murder capital. It's gone through real when the economy kind of took a down hit in 2009. It took a toll. And then now with Facebook and all these kind of tech companies kind of coming in and gentrifying a lot of the real or the community out. I want our community to kind of be resilient and know that there is a resource out there for them, or add on another resource, from the ones that are already available.
Yeah.
But running's free, and running can help you in your current life or planning a future life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just by using steps, building a plan, and having structure, and knowing that there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times. And that's I wish to teach people that running can have a real good positive effect on one's life in the long run.
Yeah, totally. Marcos, how can we, me and the people listening, best support you?
Buy some merch,
Buy some merch.
whether you're from East Palo Alto or not, Rug Runners. I wish one day I want it to be a running group or team that just supports its peers, its members to better themselves always, because if you don't put in the work, you won't find the glory, or you can't expect results.
Yeah.
So
where can we find this merch? Put in some plugs, bro.
This merch will be readily available as soon as I launch our website, Road Runners, and that is something that I expect in the near future, within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, hopefully probably by the time this comes out, it will be done.
Okay.
How about let's throw out some socials, your social media and the Road Runners one.
My social media is private, but I will follow you if you send me a message. It's Mamral95. And then our social media that is also going up, because I don't have the handle to the account yet. That is Run Road Runners. And I plan to sell merch off of that, and then encourage people to run in their Road Runner shirts so I can repost their stories. And if you feel that the shirt has empowered you to sign up for a race and do these kind of runs, whether it's health or just new challenges that you kind of set out for, and you shout us out, we'll post you on our story, and you'll be in contention for a free elite merch, should I say.
Oh baby, I'm gonna be posting all the time.
Yeah. I want people to I want to use our social media as a place where people can kind of feel like they're rewarded for what they're doing, with running.
Yeah. Oh, that is me. My bad.
No.
Yeah, man. What was I gonna say?
I think people want to be acknowledged, and I think it's
Oh,
nice
totally.
when people are acknowledged, and their peers or the community or their followers will see that, like, wow, like I feel this type of way right now. Um, I want to share it. I want to share it out.
Yeah, and totally like I know you said earlier too, you want to make it into a running group. And if anybody is in the Bay Area or near East Palo Alto, Menlo Park, Palo Alto area, um, I know that you, Marcos, and your brother Adrian and whoever else is, you'll be planning on doing lots of runs throughout the just the general Bay Area. So if anybody wants to join as well, where would be the best place to find that? And when you're doing those runs,
That'll be also readily available on our website.
perfect.
We're gonna do weekend runs, whether it's in the afternoon or in the morning. We plan on getting involving some sponsors, whether it's with our local coffee shop, Zombie Runner, some breweries that want to kind of contribute to the cause and push new merchandise for them, new products for them. Sorry, because like all runners, we like our sweets and we like our coffee, our caffeine, and we like our carbs and we like our beer and our alcohol. So.
Well, man, I could be a great runner then. I
Hey,
like all of those.
hey, we'll knock down a couple beers after, my man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Once I'm
And
back.
everybody ready.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm super excited for this, and I think that it's a great opportunity for anybody who has been considering running or does run to create a community that is revolved around that. So I'm super excited for this to grow and take off, and hopefully we'll catch up with you in the future as well, and we can see the progress of it too.
Yes, sir.
Well, Marcos, I appreciate you joining me today. I will see you in a couple weeks once I'm home, and
Yes, sir.
we'll be hanging out in some shape or form, probably with some of these or some other type of alcoholic beverage.
Yeah,
Usual.
definitely. I don't do claws, but I do IPAs.
All right. So now. All right, man. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. See you soon. Salute.
Thank you for tuning into Chase Stories Chats. If you enjoyed and want to find more, follow along at Chase Stories on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and let me know what you thought of the chat. And if you'd like to be involved, please reach out through chasestories.com.